There ain't nothing in the kitchen that's fit to eat, and that's a pretty good reason to hit the street.
All right, surfaces are cleaned, dish area is set up. It's time to make Dexterberry Pie. Top of the page, left to right. Left margin CPU for cost per unit. In the center, write Dexterberry Pie. Over to the far right, CPI, cost per ingredient. One batch, double crust pie dough. Leave it in the fridge until you need it. 1 pound, 8 ounces, frozen fruit, thawed with juice. Blueberries, frozen, blackberries, frozen, either way, you can do them by themselves, together, raspberries. 1 cup sugar. 1/4 teaspoon kosher salt. 1/2 teaspoon ground coriander. Trust me. 3 tablespoons instant clear gel. Watch my video about thickeners. At the end of this lesson, there'll be a note. Step 1. Drain thawed berries, save the juice. Measure out 1 cup of berry juice. If you're short, add a little water, maybe even a little apple juice. If you have extra, pour it off. 1 cup. Step 3. Add the 1 cup of juice back into the berries. Step 4. In a separate bowl, stir together sugar, salt, coriander, Corriander, and clear gel. Always mix thickener and sugar together before adding. See, if you don't, it will immediately, the thickener, as soon as it hits liquid, it'll start to thicken, so the sugar disperses it and prevents clumping. Step 5. Add sugar mixture into the fruit. Stir until just mixed. Let sit for 5 minutes. Mix again. And your filling is ready to go. Instant clear gel is exactly what it means. Instant. You have a thick filling. It will not soak through and make a soggy bottom. Also, you know how thick the filling will be when you are done. The big reason pies fail, berry pies especially, is that the ratio of liquid to thickener is off. Different apples, different amounts of juice. Really dry apple pie, really soupy apple pie. Blueberry pies and raspberry and blackberry always seem to be soup in the pan and on the plate. That's why I'm a big fan of separating out and measuring the juice. Then you know how much thickener to use. Assembling your pie. We've got our thickened fruit. Now we just need to make our egg wash. 1 egg yolk. 1 tablespoon of water in that insane little measuring beaker that I bought at 2:30 in the morning online during lockdown. 1 pinch of salt. With your egg brush, with your pastry brush, just mix everything together. Set it aside. Gives a little time for the salt to denature the egg yolk. Use a big enough bowl so your pastry brush doesn't fall out. See that the Pie filling has now thickened up. Set that aside. Make sure we got a clean surface to work on. And now we're going to roll out the dough. But first, let me explain. Dexterberry Pie. I have family and friends outside Ann Arbor, Michigan, in the beautiful town of Dexter. When I go home, I try to do a couple things. One, I go blueberry picking, bring them home to my sister. Two, I try and catch a show or a beer with my friend Dave Boutette. Three, see if I can. While staying at my sister's house, I go around her property looking for the wild blackberries that seem to grow all over the place. Last summer, Dave and his lovely wife, Kristi, put out a new release called Easy as Pie. Great collection of songs. It inspired me to come up with a Dexterberry Pie. Dust your table with a bit of flour. Get your pie dough out of the refrigerator. Now, I'm going to work it with my hands for about 5, no more than 10 seconds right here. And thousands of home cooks are terrified. We've all had Play-Doh when we were kids, and you remember that when it got older and you'd open it, it'd be hard and you had to make it malleable again. Well, pie dough's no different. If you just try and roll it out while it's cold, that's why you get pieces that break off and crumble and it cracks and whatever. So once you've made it malleable, make it a 6-inch disc. A ruler is so important when you are baking. Make sure your table is floured. Flour the top of your pie dough. Go get your rolling pin that you left in the other room. Set up your ruler so that the middle of the disc is right on the 6. We need a 12-inch rolled out pie dough here. First, you rock back and forth until you've pressed halfway down. Then, with one smooth, even push at that same height, halfway, you go all the way to the end, but don't smush the ending. And then do the same thing coming back. And you will see that it is 12 or so inches, maybe just a little more. All right. A little more flour on top of your dough. Pick it up and flip it over. And we're going to do the same thing again. Rock back and forth until you've pressed halfway down into the dough. You'll find it's easier to roll dough if you lean forward and have your shoulders as much as possible over so you have more leverage. Press, roll straight forward, one time, even height. And then go back. None of this 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock rotation thing. And you can see 12 inches everywhere. I take my dough and fold it into quarters. I find that's easier. We had a smaller pie pan than normal today, so I end up with extra dough. This is what I could get at the grocery store. When you lay the dough into the pan, you lay it into the pan. Do not drape and try and stretch it. You'll start seeing how I fold it back and then let it drape in. If you try and stretch dough, when you bake, it stretches back. There's always a little bit of contraction, but you don't want to open up the seams and have pie filling pouring out. Go all the way around once. And then, this is a step that's very helpful. Egg wash the rim of your pie dough right now. This will give it time to soak in a little bit, and it'll make the bottom crust really tacky, and it'll make them better seal. If you do it right before you drop on the top one, it doesn't always hold. Here's another pro tip. You get your can of Pam, give a quick spray to the bottom of your pie dough. This creates an oil barrier so that water can't get through, again, trying to avoid the soggy bottom. I'm going to have extra pie filling here because we have separated our berries into 1-pound bags when we picked them last summer. and we should have done 8-ounce bags. Flour your board again. Same steps you did before. Pie dough out. Massage it for a couple seconds with or without the plastic. Pick up stray pieces that fall out. A little bit of flour. Make it into a disc again. Roll out as before. This pie crust, we get lots of compliments on it. We sell tons of pies in the fall. Because the butter was grated, you will have little pockets that'll create steam and you'll have flakiness. The strength and tenderness is there because of the shortening mixed in with the butter. We didn't have to use vodka. We didn't have to use a spray bottle. We didn't use the absolute minimum amount of liquid. People worry about this way too much. Same thing before. Roll it out in even, simple, one forward, one backward. And if it's not as round as you like, just use one end, press, roll, and you can reshape. There, now it's rounder. I do a very simple pie assembly. I do not do decorated edges. Cut one hole in the center. I did not have dough cutters. I thought I did. I looked. And then settled on my shot glass that Kevin gave me for my birthday. Cut out one hole in the center so you have a place for steam to evacuate. Lay it right on top. Fold over. Press down. I don't like crimped edges and all that because they tend to burn. The more surface area you have, especially edges, in an oven where heat is above 350, you'll start to burn. And I want this as flat and elegant and clean a line as possible. Take a knife and just cut along the edge as you go around. This recipe for pie dough will make up to a 12-inch pie if you roll the pie dough out to 14, maybe 15 inches. All right, you clean up your work surface. Go and get a sheet pan to bake the pie on. Anytime you cook with aluminum foil tin pans like this, you want to do a baking sheet underneath or a sheet pan. In this case, it's to catch the dripping, but also because when you go to take it out of the oven, they are flippy and flexible. Use your egg wash and your pastry brush, go around. Right here, I have a note that says, be careful to not get your pastry brush into the fruit because it'll smear everywhere and it doesn't look nice. See, just like that. Then with your finger, try and fix it. All right. Then once you got it brushed, glazed, go ahead and sprinkle on some sanding sugar. Now, nobody has sanding sugar, but what you can use is raw sugar. And they give me 2 of those with my coffee every morning. Then bake your pie at 375 degrees for 45 to 55 minutes. You can tell when it's done when it bubbles. And to show this, you want to use the worst zoom technique ever known to have existed. But you can see that it's bubbling.
About you, about you, about you, about you.